Hi everybody, this is the football hype, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, and welcome back to the football hype. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. One of the many things that people are still talking about from the NFL draft is Shedeur Sanders, who did not get picked up until the 4th round of the 2025 NFL draft. What is funny about that is one, he got prank called, and he's not the only player that got prank called. Abdul Carter also got prank called, but that I find it very amusing, and this doesn't reflect upon my life at all. It's just a funny story. Like I said, it's always funny to prank people that have no sense of humor than people that have sense of humor. You're not in on the joke. It's much, much funnier than if you're not in on the joke, okay? Or you're in on the joke, excuse me. And these kids calling up Shedeur Sanders on draft night, telling him he was drafted by the Seahawks is pretty funny. I think it is. And I said this in the previous video about him. His father's very thin-skinned, and clearly he's extremely thin-skinned. We're starting to learn a lot about the combine and all these interviews he was having with different teams. And one team in particular, obviously the New York Giants. That did not go over well. This is a job interview, okay? That when they go to the combine, you're trying to get a job in the NFL. You just don't throw your hat in the ring or your helmet in the ring and think you're going to just, sail through. They want to know if you're somebody they can work with. And that's why they have these kind of interviews. And it's just a trick. These interviews clearly are meant to trick these players, and Sanders did not do well with this. Here's some GiantsWire.USA today. Shedeur Sanders was pissed at the Giants after the private interview they had with him. The Shedeur Sanders stories about why he fell so far in the 2025 NFL draft just keep on coming, especially when they involve the New York Giants. Now, here's another thing that's funny. He gets prank called by this kid from this Jeff Albright's former Jet head coach. He gets pranked by his son, little Albright. And I think that's not bad enough. Talking about insult to injury, he gets drafted by the Browns. I don't know which was the worst thing that happened to him on draft day. Getting punked or getting drafted by the Browns. Eric Richter of the New York Post reports that both Sanders and the Giants are not satisfied with how their pre-draft meeting went. Quote, the former Colorado star reportedly failed to identify errors in his mock playbook install set as part of the Giants' pre-draft interview process, which is common practice in the NFL, according to Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer. The Giants, when they give players an install, and there are many mistakes intentionally put in the install, Breer said via 98.5 to Sports Hub. He didn't catch them and got called on it, and it didn't go well after that. He was pissed that they did that to him. It's a job interview. You don't know what they're going to ask you. The Giants weren't the only team who passed on Sanders in the draft. Sanders apparently misread much of the pre-draft process from the NFL Combine forward. He was not selected until the 5th round. I thought it was the 4th round, the 5th round. 144th overall by the Browns, who had taken a quarterback or against Dylan Gabriel earlier in the draft. So it's bad enough he got punked on the phone, but then he gets drafted by the Browns 5th. In the 5th round, but then he's not even the number 1 quarterback in the draft that they drafted. Funny. ESPN's draft analyst Todd McShay. Now, if you don't think that's funny, that's up to you, but I think it's funny. I think, in the same regard, it means he has no sense of humor. But he clearly has no sense of humor. I wouldn't, again, mention this story is that years ago when Deion Sanders was a Major League Baseball player, he was constantly being criticized by Tim McCarver when the Braves won, the pennant. He dumped all kinds of champagne on Timmy, and he didn't like the way he was being talked about on the air. Very thin-skinned rabbit ears, and that's how his son is too. They don't think they can be criticized. And the difference between Deion and his son is Deion was one of the best players in his position in the history of the NFL. Okay. And he came into the NFL as a big player and a big athlete in 2 sports. Quote, Shedeur didn't have a great interview with Brian Dable on a private visit, McShay said last week. An install package came in, preparation wasn't there for it. He got called out on it. Didn't like that. Brian didn't appreciate him not liking it. Oh boy. It's all water under the bridge now. The Giants trade back into the first round to select Ole Miss Jackson Dart, officially killing all rumors of them taking Sanders. He ended up being the 6th quarterback taken in this draft. It's another case of teams simply taking a pass on a player rather than a chance. Jobs depend on success, and if there's any possibility of a problem with a prospect, it's better to be safe than sorry. And here's the thing about the draft this year is that the Giants have gotten very good grades for what they did. And Sanders, they just didn't feel comfortable with him. And again, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is a job interview when you go to the combine. And teams will meet with you and basically want to see if they want to invest any time and training you and teaching you and how to be a player, whatever the job is. And clearly he went there with a lousy attitude. He didn't like being challenged. And that does not bode well for a player. Sorry. And again, I don't know what's more insulting, getting punked by some kid on the phone or getting drafted by the Browns. But Sanders had a chance to get drafted very high in the draft, and I'm sure the stories were coming out about how he did not do well in his interview with the Giants. And Brian Daboll is a coach that has a good reputation developing very good quarterbacks. So if he can't work with him, then there's no reason to hire him. Which is what a draft is that hiring him to be a player with the Giants. And if they don't feel comfortable with him, then they move on to the next guy. Simple as that. And the fact that he's the 6th best quarterback prospect says a lot, because this was not a great draft for quarterbacks this year. Next year's will be much better, because I think Arch Manning's in there and a few other big prospects. And last year's obviously was excellent. This was not a very deep draft when it comes to quarterbacks. And he would, a lot of these guys, especially and Cam Ward for that matter. Cam Ward was not a guy, if you put him in last year's draft, he would not have gone number 1 at all. Maybe a first rounder, but that's why I'm saying that, this was not a very good quarterback draft. It just wasn't. Well, let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Football Hut. I'll see you later.